All right, we move right along to Tarek Saffiedine taking on Roger Bowling. These fights going down on Saturday night. We didn't have the fight odds for the other fights, but we actually have the line on the three main events here. So Tarek Saffiedine is minus 300, the favorite. Bowling plus 230, the dog. I like that. I think that's interesting. I think that there's dog money to be made here on Roger Bowling. Saffiedine 12-3, Bowling 11-2. Nearly identical records here. This one at welterweight. Saffiedine coming off a split decision win over Tyler Stinson on January 7th, while Bowling coming off a TKO win over Brandon Sailing on March 3rd, both fighting their last bouts for Strikeforce. Saffiedine has 6 of 12 wins via decision. Never something you like to see. With 5 submissions, though, and 1 knockout, so he can tap you out, doesn't really knock you out very often, while Bowling, very different, 7 of 11 wins via knockout with just 2 submissions and 2 decision victories. So these guys like to finish fights in very different ways. Saffiedine has lost 3 times in his career, all via decision, most notably losing to Tyron Woodley in 2011. Saffiedine is 4-1 in Strikeforce, while Bowling is 4-2. He has 2 losses to his record, both to the same guy, Bobby Volker, beating him via TKO in 2010 and 2011. That was after Bowling got a technical decision win over Volker in 2010. They had a rematch, and Bowling lost both rematches.
I was at that 2011 rematch as it was in Las Vegas.
Right.
It was a ridiculous TKO. Unbelievable. I think it was a knee to the head.
Yeah.
But fantastic fight. I personally think that this is a bad fight for Roger Bowling. Saffiedine is a wrestler, a lay and pray kind of guy, coming out of Team Quest. And Bowling is a stand-up artist and a knockout artist. I think it's a very bad matchup for Bowling.
I think this is going to be a tough matchup for Tarek Saffiedine. I think that, Saffiedine facing some real heavy hands here with Roger Bowling. Bowling is a grinder, man. This guy, he fights. He fights hard. He's only lost to one dude.
Yeah.
Roger Bowling is a real tough guy, 29 years old from Cincinnati. Saffiedine, 25 years old, originally from Belgium, but trains in California, in Temecula, California, with Team Quest. He's got a black belt in karate. Say he's a wrestling guy, but he's kind of a karate guy as well. But I think Bowling's heavy hands will cause some real problems for Tarek Saffiedine. I like Roger Bowling to pick up the upset victory here. I'm going to go with Bowling.
Well, this is, in my opinion, a tough fight to call. Saffiedine, in his last bout against Tyler Stinson, just kind of held Stinson to the ground, wrestled him the majority of that bout. Very unimpressive victory. Bowling is one of the most exciting fighters at welterweight in Strikeforce right now. I'd like to see perhaps the winner of this fight take on Nate Marquardt. Nate Marquardt, Roger Bowling.
Yeah.
If Bowling can pick up the knockout victory.
Or Saffiedine as well. I think winner of this fight could go up and face the welterweight champion. Makes sense to me.
Or perhaps Jordan Mean or something, considering he's coming off a win too.
Yeah,
nonetheless, I'm going to agree with you, Dave. I'm going to go with Roger Bowling. But I'm really torn because I really think stylistically this isn't the greatest fight for him.
I think that there's some money to be made at Roger Bowling plus 230, the underdog. I don't think there's any kind of money to be made here on Jacare, though. Minus 500, the favorite is the former Strikeforce middleweight champion, Ronaldo Jacare Souza, 15 wins, 3 losses. He takes on Derek Brunson. Brunson stepping up big time in competition. Brunson is 9-1, plus 350, the dog. Brunson is coming off a loss, which is crazy to me that he's coming off a loss and coming to fight Jacare. He's coming off a split decision loss, though, to Kendall Grove on June 16th of this year in Springfield, Missouri, while Jacare coming off a submission win over a 12-7 fighter named Bristol Marunde. That was on March 3rd for Strikeforce. Jacare, a black belt in jiu-jitsu, a black belt in judo. He's got 12 of 15 wins via tap-out with 3 decision victories. He has lost just 3 times in his career, twice, though, via knockout. A guy named George Patino knocked him out in his first pro fight in 2003, and Gegard Mousasi knocked him out in 2008. And Jacare also lost that one decision to Luke Rockhold. That was for the Strikeforce middleweight title. Jacare with notable victories, though, over some tough guys. Alexander Shlemenko, Tim Kennedy, Robbie Lawler, just to name a few. He is 32 years old, from Brazil, and represents Team Blackhouse. Brunson was 9-0, but is coming off his first professional loss, losing to Kendall Grove. He's got 4 of 9 wins via knockout, with 3 submissions and 2 decisions. He is 4 years younger than Jacare at 28. He is 3-0 thus far in Strikeforce, while Jacare is 5-1 in the promotion. Brunson, though, has some real good training behind him. Trains with Renzo Gracie and also with Greg Jackson, and was a NC2A Division II wrestler from Wilmington, North Carolina. So Brunson has a lot of the tools. Will he be able to bring them out and take out Jacare? I don't think so. I think that this is way too big of a step up in competition. If you're losing via split decision to Kendall Grove, who's a jiu-jitsu guy, chances are you're going to get tapped out by Jacare. I like Jacare all day in this fight, but at minus 500, it's not really worth putting anything on him.
It really isn't. Derek Brunson has looked good in the past, undefeated in Strikeforce. I think that's very impressive. It went a 3-round decision with Kendall Grove, where the judges, one judge saw it for Brunson, which is pretty impressive. That was actually for the show fight promotion and for their middleweight championship. But for some reason, it was supposed to be another fight, and it was only a 3-rounder, which was kind of ridiculous.
That's weird.
Nonetheless, this is too easy of a fight to pick. I think Brunson will bring the fight to Souza. I just don't see him necessarily faring well against him. I like Jacare in this all day.
Yeah, we both like Jacare very much. But, you know, in a fight like this, when the guy's minus 500, the favorite, you could put like a serious amount of money on him and hope to cash in. But on the outside chance that Brunson does pick up the victory, which I think is possible. I think it's possible. So I would kind of stay away from this fight just because there's not a lot of money to be made. Unless you really, really believe in Jacare, which I do, but I don't know. There's always that outside chance, and if you want to make anything significant, you're going to have to really put it down on Jacare at minus 500, the favorite.